The scariest park. In a small town in southeastern Finland, there's a very special park. Its name is the Palikala Sculpture Park. The park covers an area of approximately 1 hectare. In our colorful and diverse world, there are always surprising things happening. Thanks to camera recordings, we are able to see them and expand our horizons. From a church filled with bones, to the sudden eruption of fire on the sea, and to a park composed of countless human sculptures. In this episode, Mingxin will bring you 15 amazing moments captured on camera. And these moments, you may be seeing for the very first time. If you're new here, welcome to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon, so you can be the first to watch more exciting content. Okay, let's begin our story now. Number 15. Mexico's Fiery Eye. On July 2, 2021, a globally shocking event occurred in the Gulf of Mexico. A leak occurred in an underwater natural gas pipeline belonging to Pemex, the Mexican petroleum company, leading to a massive release of natural gas, ignited underwater. The leaking natural gas formed a ring of fire approximately 5 meters in diameter on the water's surface. It looked like a fiery eye appeared on the water. The scene was spectacular. The fiery eye burned fiercely on the choppy sea. The rolling flames resembled boiling water, creating a surreal atmosphere, like the appearance after the gates of hell were opened. After the incident, the EMEX company quickly dispatched multiple fireboats to the scene of the accident to fight the fire. They used a large amount of water and fire retardant. After several hours of effort, the flames were finally extinguished. The event became international headline news at the time. The reason was its strong visual impact. The scene of flames burning in seawater is incredibly rare and shocking. It's like something out of a science fiction movie. Secondly, it also symbolizes the potential dangers and costs associated with humanity's exploitation and use of natural resources. Due to the widespread sharing of videos and photos on social media, this phenomenon quickly became a hot topic of global discussion. 14th place. Station Master Cat. Chinese name, Xiaoyu. She is a calico cat from Wakayama, Japan. She serves as the station master at Kishi Station. She became a local and national celebrity. Kishi Station was once a small station on a train line. Due to a decrease in passenger numbers, facing the closing of the station, to revitalize this small station, the local community decided to adopt a unique way to attract tourists. So they appointed a cat as the station master. In 2007, Xiao Yu was officially appointed as the station master of this station. As station master, her job is to greet passengers at the station every day. For this, the station specially customized a cute little hat and uniform for her. She even has her own private office. Her appearance quickly attracted the attention of the media and tourists. People flocked to visit this special cat station master. Xiaoyu's appointment was very successful. She became a local star, attracting a large number of tourists to visit. This move didn't increase the station's passenger traffic, but it also boosted the economic development of the surrounding area. Therefore, your station was able to avoid closure, and even became busier. Xiaoyu wasn't only loved domestically in Japan, but also gained a large international fan base. Her image was used on various souvenirs at the time, such as postcards, dolls, stationery, and so on. Time came to 2015, every cut. Due to acute heart failure, Xiaoyu passed away on June 22. She was 16 years old. Her passing triggered widespread mourning. At that time, more than 3,000 people spontaneously came to offer flowers and prayers for her. Many people couldn't help but shed tears. In memory of Xiaoyu, a small memorial was erected for her locally. The station's exterior was designed in the shape of a cat. Furthermore, they appointed a new cat station master, also an adorable calico cat, named Nitama, to continue Xiaoyu's spirit. Joyful. Love Tama channel. 13th place. The weeds in the ocean. There is a creature in the ocean. From afar, it looks like a patch of weeds, but upon closer inspection, you'll find they are a school of fish. These fish are called garden eels. They are approximately 30 to 60 centimeters in length. They look like long, thin snakes. Their bodies are soft. They are generally light gray or yellowish-brown in color. Some species also have small spots or stripes. Garden eels mostly live in the sandy or muddy seabed of tropical and subtropical waters. They like to burrow. They bury most of their bodies in the holes, leaving only the upper half exposed. It looks like they grow out of the sand. These creatures are highly social. Hundreds or even thousands will often gather in the same area. They extend their bodies near the holes, moving with the water flow, making the area look like a garden. The scene is quite spectacular. That's why they're called garden eels. Garden eels mainly feed on plankton. When plankton-rich currents pass by, they'll stick their heads out and catch them with their mouths. This hunting method is very effective, and they can get enough food without leaving their burrows. The reason they live in burrows, actually, it's to protect themselves. Hiding in burrows helps them avoid predators, such as large fish or octopus. If they sense danger, they will quickly retreat and ensure their own safety. Garden eels play an important role in the ecosystem. Their burrows provide shelter for other small marine creatures. Furthermore, by preying on plankton, it also helps maintain the biological balance in the ocean. Number 12. Giant Puppet Show. Royal Deluxe is a very special French theater company. They specialize in performing giant puppet shows in city streets and squares. These puppets are incredibly huge. Some are as tall as 3 meters, even 10 meters. And each puppet is unique. Some are divers, even giant dogs, and so on. These aren't ordinary puppets. They're made of wood, metal, and other materials. Each puppet has a complex mechanical system. These systems consist of many ropes and pulleys. The puppeteers, by pulling these ropes, can manipulate the puppet's hands, arms, head, eyes, and mouth. Even parts like the nose can move freely. Royal Deluxe's performances usually take place on the streets of a city. They transform the entire city into a giant stage. At the start of the performance, the giant puppets slowly open their eyes, looking around. Then, led by their puppeteers, they move through the city streets, interact with the audience. Audiences can watch the puppet show up close, even shake hands with or take photos with the puppets. The troupe doesn't only perform in France. They also tour all over the world. For example, they once performed in London, Berlin. Performances in major cities like Mexico City and Shanghai always attract tens of thousands of spectators. These performances aren't just puppets walking down the street. They usually perform by telling stories. The troupe adapts the performances to local culture and history, making them more appealing to the local audience. 11th place. Tall white buildings. Can you imagine? A tiny creature building structures several meters high. Termites are a great example. Their nests, termite mounds, are far larger than you might think. Termite mounds are huge heaps of earth built by termites. They are mainly distributed in Africa, Australia, and South America. They are not only the homes of termites, but also wonders of nature. These nests look like small hills. Some are even as high as 9 meters, like a small house. The interior of the termite mounds is very complex. It contains many tunnels and rooms. These tunnels and rooms provide a living space for the meerkat. They are used for storing food and raising young. The burrow's layout helps the meerkat protect itself from predators. Also, meerkat burrows have a natural air conditioning system. The ventilation system within their burrows is cleverly designed to allow air to circulate. This helps regulate temperature and humidity, maintain an environment suitable for termite life. These ventilation shafts are generally located at the top and sides of the mound. They allow hot air to rise and escape, simultaneously drawing in cool air. Building a large termite mound can take years, even decades. The exact time depends on the termite species, environmental conditions, and the size and complexity of the mound. A mature termite mound can house millions of termites. The division of labor within the nest is clear. There are those responsible for breeding and raising the young, those responsible for foraging, and others specializing in various tasks. Multiple generations of termites continuously repair and expand the nest, ensuring its long-term maintenance. The termite mound is not just a home for termites, but can also accommodate other organisms. Fungi, bacteria and other microorganisms also live inside, forming a miniature ecosystem. These organisms are interdependent. They coexist. Number 10. La Tomatina. La Tomatina is a very special festival in Spain. Every year in the town of Bunol, the festival is usually held on the last Wednesday of August. The tomatoes used in the festival are provided by the local government. The most interesting part of the festival is that people can throw tomatoes at each other in the streets. The entire town instantly becomes a sea of red. The history of the tomato fight can be traced back to 1945. At that time, a group of young people participated in a festival parade, but for some reason, they started throwing tomatoes at each other. Initially, it was an accidental incident, but everyone found it incredibly fun. So, every year, people would imitate this behavior at the same time. Eventually, it became a fixed festival. The festival attracts tens of thousands of people, not only Spaniards, and tourists from all over the world. Approximately 20,000 to 50,000 people come specifically to participate in the tomato fight every year. Everyone wears old clothes on this day, and wears protective eyewear to the scene. They immerse themselves in a sea of joy. To ensure the safety of participants, the tomato fight has some basic rules. For example, you must squash the tomatoes before throwing them. This way, you can avoid hitting others. Before the event begins, there will be a signal, such as firing a water cannon, to remind everyone that they can start throwing tomatoes. The event usually starts at 11 a.m. and lasts for about an hour. The whole festival is filled with joy and a carnival atmosphere. People are chasing and fighting in the streets. They throw and tear tomatoes at each other. The whole process is filled with laughter. After the event, the fire department uses hoses to wash the streets. They wash away the tomato juice. Participants can clean themselves in the nearby river or shower area. The tomato fight is a great boost to the economy of Bunol. During the holiday season, hotels, restaurants and shops were booming. This festival not only brought joy, but also boosted the local economy. Number 9. Hidden Beach. Located in the Marietta Islands of Mexico, is a very special beach. Its name is Zonghai. It is said that Zonghai was formed by a volcanic eruption, and the erosion of waves, creating a huge cave. From the outside, you wouldn't imagine such a different world exists inside. The sea is surrounded by rocks, and can only be accessed through an underwater tunnel. The sand is white and fine. The seawater is crystal clear. Sunlight shines through the opening in the cave ceiling. The whole place looks incredibly magical. The hidden sea itself isn't large. The sandy area is approximately 100 square meters. Enough for several tourists to simultaneously enjoy the peace and beauty here. But it doesn't feel crowded. 8th place. Yunhai, Sea of Clouds. A sea of clouds is a large expanse of clouds, resembling a boundless white ocean. This phenomenon mostly occurs at high altitudes, on mountain peaks or plateaus. This phenomenon usually forms under conditions of high humidity and low wind speeds. Morning or evening, when the temperature difference between the ground and the air is large, it is especially easy to form a sea of clouds. At this time, water vapor in the air condenses into clouds under the influence of the cold air, covering the valleys or mountains. It looks like a sea of clouds. The sea of clouds is not still, but constantly changing. Cloud layers drift with the wind. Sometimes they slowly dissipate, like waves in the ocean. This dynamic change makes them appear more vivid and mysterious. Standing high and looking down at the sea of clouds, one feels as if they are in a fairyland. The clouds churn below. Distant mountain peaks appear faintly. It gives a surreal feeling. The color of the sea of clouds changes with time and the shifting light. In the morning, it's often a pale golden yellow. As the sun rises, it turns pure white. At dusk, it's dyed orange by the setting sun. It's very beautiful. 7th place. The Sedlec Ossuary, Bone Church. Located in the small town of Kutna Ora, Czech Republic, there is a very famous church. The church is called the Sedlec Ossuary, also known as the Bone Church. Its greatest feature is that the interior of the church is decorated with at least 40,000 human skulls and skeletons. The story goes back to the 14th century. At that time, the abbot of a monastery brought back some holy earth from Jerusalem. He scattered it in the churchyard, because it contained soil from the holy city. Through word of mouth, the graveyard became increasingly sacred. Many people wished to be buried there after their death. As a result, this cemetery quickly filled with bones, especially during the Black Death pandemic of the 14th century and subsequent wars. By the end of the 19th century, the cemetery was piled high with human remains. Church officials struggled with how to properly dispose of these bones. Later, they hired a carpenter named František Rint to help. The carpenter had a brilliant idea. He used the bones to create various decorations inside the church. For example, in the middle of the church, there's a very large chandelier. It's completely made of human bones. It seems to include every bone in the human body. There's also a large shield. The surface is also decorated with patterns made of bones. In addition, the church walls and the area around the altar are also decorated with bones. Some bones have even been arranged into flowers and other shapes. It's a little terrifying. Even I felt a very evil presence here. But the inside of the church is actually very quiet and solemn. This place is not just for displaying bones, but also to remind people of the brevity of life and the inevitability of death. Many tourists visit here every year. They are all attracted by this unique artwork and its profound meaning. The Sedlec Ossuary is a unique church, decorated with the bones of over 40,000 people. It is full of artistic atmosphere, and reflects on the meaning of life. Sixth place, Red Crab Migration. During October or November each year, Christmas Island, Australia, is in the rainy season. At this time, a magical natural spectacle will occur here. Red crab migration. When the first heavy rain of the rainy season arrives, approximately 60 million red crabs will leave their burrows in the forest and begin their journey to the coast. They have only one purpose: to return to their birthplace to breed. These red crabs will cross various terrains on the island, including forests and roads, grasslands, etc. To ensure these red crabs can safely reach the coast, the residents and government of Christmas Island will take a series of protective measures. For example, closing some major roads, setting up special crab bridges for them to safely pass through, modifying vehicles to prevent them from running over the red crabs. In some places, they even temporarily build small tunnels. After days of arduous journey, the red crabs finally reach the coast. At this time, the male crabs arrive first and dig breeding burrows. Then the female crabs follow. After reaching the coast, the red crabs mate. After mating, the female crab carries her eggs on her abdomen for about 2 weeks. At high tide, usually at night, the female crab releases her eggs into the sea. The eggs quickly hatch into larvae in the seawater. After a few weeks of drifting, these larvae return to the island with the tide and re-enter the forest, begin their new lives. Fifth place, Upside Down House. The Upside Down House is a very special kind of building. Its design and construction methods are completely different from ordinary houses. As the name suggests, everything inside the Upside Down House is upside down. From the outside, an upside down house is like a normal house turned upside down. The roof is on the ground, and the foundation is facing the sky. The windows and doors are in their normal positions, but the overall appearance of the house is strange and interesting. Once you enter the upside down house, you'll find that all the furniture is fixed to the ceiling. For example, sofa, dining table, chair. The sofa, dining table, chairs, and light fixtures are all upside down above your head. Even household appliances, like refrigerators and televisions, are upside down. You can see the sink and toilet are on the ceiling. The mirrors and decorations on the walls are also upside down. After entering the upside down house, people generally feel a sense of imbalance. This is because our brains are accustomed to the normal direction of gravity. Since the upside down house completely breaks this conventional perception, it gives people a novel Unreal feeling. The upside-down house, as an architectural form, originating in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the earliest upside-down houses weren't built as tourist attractions, but rather as part of art installations and architectural experiments. These early upside-down houses primarily aimed to challenge people's understanding of space and gravity, offering a unique artistic experience. By the early 2000s, upside-down houses began to gradually become a popular architectural form, especially in Europe. Poland is one of the early origins of upside-down houses. The upside-down house in Zimbark village is the world's first publicly displayed upside-down house, built in 2007. Afterwards, the concept of upside-down houses quickly spread. More similar houses began appearing in Europe and other regions. Many countries and regions have begun building upside-down houses as tourist attractions and parts of theme parks. For example, Malaysia, Thailand, the United States, and Russia, among other countries, all have their own uniquely styled upside-down houses. These upside-down houses have attracted a large number of tourists. It even became a popular spot for taking photos and sharing them on social media. Number 4. Sea foam. An interesting phenomenon occurs on the coast during a rainstorm. Large amounts of foam are washed ashore. It's as if someone just finished doing laundry or washing dishes. That's just a metaphor. This phenomenon is known as sea foam. It's a foamy substance formed by a mixture of seawater and air. The formation of sea foam is mainly due to 3 reasons. First, seawater contains many tiny organic substances, such as seaweed, plankton, and the remains of dead animals and plants. These organic substances decompose in the seawater. As the rich waves beat against the shore, the seawater mixes with these organic substances, producing a large amount of bubbles. Finally, the oxygen in the seawater combines with these bubbles, forming sea foam. Sea foam is generally white, but sometimes it can turn yellow due to different organic substances in the seawater, brown or green. The color depends on the type and amount of organic matter mixed into the foam. After a storm or when the waves are particularly large, you might see a large amount of sea foam gathering together, forming a thick layer, even sometimes blown onto land by the wind, looking like the coast is covered in snow. In most cases, sea foam is harmless. It's a natural phenomenon. But if harmful algae blooms in large quantities in the seawater, then this sea foam may contain toxins harmful to humans and marine life. So, when you see a large amount of sea foam, it's best not to make direct contact, especially if the foam is an unusual color or has an unusual smell. Third place, beehive ginger. Beehive ginger is a very interesting plant. It is native to Malaysia and Thailand. It is now also cultivated in other tropical and subtropical regions. The most special thing about this plant is its inflorescence. It looks like a bunch of small towers or pine cones. Its appearance is very much like a beehive, so it's named beehive ginger. Beehive ginger comes in a variety of colors. There's yellow, orange, or red. It's quite attractive. This plant prefers a semi-shaded environment. It cannot be exposed to strong sunlight for a long time. The ideal growing environment is a shady place, such as under a tree or somewhere else. The plant's greatest characteristic is that its inflorescence and interior contain abundant moisture. When ripe, one can squeeze it out by hand. This moisture has cleansing and moisturizing effects. Traditionally, people in some areas use this water to wash their hair, because it can't clean hair, but it can moisturize. It's beneficial for both hair and scalp. The specific method is, when the beehive ginger is ripe, gently press the inflorescence, collect the flowing liquid. Then apply this liquid directly to your hair. Gently massage. Then rinse thoroughly with clean water. Besides washing hair, the water from the ginger rhizome can also be used to wash or as a natural moisturizer. In addition, this plant in Indonesia is also used to treat eye inflammation, or to treat burns, headache, backache, etc., tumor-like. It can also be used as a food preservative. Studies have shown that extracts from the rhizome of Zingiber zirumbet possess antibacterial and anti-cancer properties. It is a natural medicine worth developing and utilizing. Second place, tidal tree. The Qiantang River tidal trees are a breathtaking natural spectacle. They aren't actually trees. Instead, they are a unique landform created by the rising and falling tides that wash over the shore. Seen from above, these formations resemble large trees growing in the sea. Their trunks face the ocean, and their branches extend towards higher ground. Hence, it is called the tidal tree. The formation of the tidal tree depends on abundant silt and the daily rise and fall of the tide. During high tide, the tidal waters push back the river flow, resulting in slower currents. This primarily leads to sedimentation. During low tide, the tidal waters recede to the sea with a significant drop, causing faster currents, primarily through erosion. Under long-term erosion and scouring, deep gullies have gradually formed on the tidal flats. These gullies, over time, don't deepen, but widen, forming a main trunk and branches like a tree. This has created a spectacular tidal tree landscape. Tidal trees are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also have important ecological value. They provide abundant nutrients, food and safe shelter for organisms. They are the habitats of many creatures. First place. The scariest park. The scariest park. In a small town in southeastern Finland, there's a very special park. Its name is the Palikala Sculpture Park. The park covers an area of approximately 1 hectare. That's about the size of a standard football field. Its greatest feature is the large number of human sculptures inside the park. These sculptures were all created by the late artist, Ejo Ronkainen. Ejo Ronkainen is a self-taught artist. In 1961, he began creating these sculptures in his own garden. Ronkainen received no formal art training. All his creations are the result of self-learning and self-exploration. He uses his own garden as a place to display and create his art. He spent 50 years, continuously adding to and perfecting the sculptures. This formed the park we see today. The park contains over 500 sculptures. Most are human figures. These sculptures depict a wide variety of poses and activities, such as practicing yoga, dancing, playing musical instruments, etc. Each sculpture is incredibly detailed. Some of the sculptures even have real dentures in their mouths. They look very realistic. Due to the large number of sculptures, and their diverse poses, the park is even filled with a surreal atmosphere. Especially at night or in foggy weather, the sculptures appear even more mysterious. Some even make one feel a little uneasy. This park is more than just a place to display sculptures. It's also a beautiful garden. Many plants are cultivated inside, making this place a perfect blend of art and nature. It offers different scenery in every season. Visitors can freely stroll through the garden, admiring these sculptures up close. Each sculpture has its own unique charm. You can discover many interesting details. This is a great place for photos. Many tourists interact with the sculptures and take photos, leaving behind fun memories. The park's atmosphere is quite special. Some tourists look a bit mysterious, even a bit human, but that makes it all the more interesting. In a quiet environment, the sculptures seem to be communicating with you. It gives one a wonderful feeling. Okay, that's all we have to share with you this time. What are your thoughts on these 15 amazing camera recordings? Please leave your comments below. Thank you for watching. If you like, please subscribe.